This video is not for persons under the age of 13. By watching this video, you are declaring that you are above 13 years of age. Hello and welcome to today's painting. It's a demonstration tutorial in real time. It's been set to us as a challenge by Dina Tollefson. It's the Bluebird challenge, and what I've chosen to do is, up here is a heron. I'm not sure if it's a grey heron, but it is one of the heron family. What I want to do though is very much bias the painting towards blue. It's blue in the reference to some degree, but we're going to make this quite a bit more blue. So what we want to do first is introduce you to the equipment that I'll be using. First of all, the paper is a Milford by St Cuthbert's Mill. That's a £140 cotton, 100% cotton paper. For those of us in Europe and other parts of the world, that's about 300 grams, or GSM as it's called. So that's the paper. It's cold press, and that's it. It's really nice paper to work on. I've worked on it on a few occasions. We've got his water, we've got his dab rag, and we've got his paints. These are my White Nights paints, and obviously the reason why I've done that is because I've got a large array of blues there. Whether I use them all is a matter of opinion. But we've got as brushes, and I'm going to use my usual suspects, mate. Ink brush, my big mop, which is a quill. That's also a pointed mop quill, and my detailing calligraphy brush, and they tend to be my staple brushes at the moment. The paper is pinned down by these bulldog clips, so basically we're ready to go. To start with, let's get the background blocked in. It's fairly simple, as you can see in the reference. I'm not going to do it as dark as the reference, but it may take a couple of layers to get to the stage that I want it at. So I'm going to use my hair brush, and hopefully I'm going to do a really nice light blue colour. So I'm just getting myself enough paint set out. That should be enough for now, and I'm going to really carefully make sure that I'm not hitting the bird as best I can with this brush, because obviously it's a fairly large brush and accidents can happen, like there for example. Making sure that we're not forgetting to do that. And as we come down here, it gets progressively lighter. Right. That's nearly all of that done. I'm going to come back up to the top and re-emphasise that. Make sure we get everywhere. And I'm going to go in over it neat in certain areas with directly painted colour into it like that. So we've got a little bit of difference in the value of the paint. And again, as we get closer here, we're just going to get lighter. Now we've done that, I notice in the actual reference image that there's a greeny colour to it, so I'm going to mix up some of this yellow. I'm not right sure what that is, but I think it's cad yellow, but it might not be. And some of this Indian yellow, and add it to that, and it then gives you this lemony green. But I've just added a bit more ultramarine to it to make it a bit darker. And up in this area, we don't worry about this because this is going to be a considerable amount darker later. Seem to have a loose hair there. Let's get rid of that. And there we go. Now let's go back over with some of this blue, darken that up, and then add a brown to it. That then automatically makes it a lot darker. And up in that area, that's where that'll go. Let's see if we can get a few little ripples of dark there. And I know now that it's at the stage where I need to stop a bit, get a little bit, and let it settle. You can see how it's starting to get to a stage where it could get out of control if you're not careful. So what I'm going to do is get my heat gun, and we're going to start drying this, and that'll be his first coat sorted out. So here we go. Okay, that all dried up. I did miss one area which we'll remedy now. In there, intricate things like this, sometimes you can miss various spots. So let's see if I can replicate what we did before. Get a blue in, and then put a bit of yellow in. And then a bit of dark, and that should do that. That's actually what I will do, is make sure that that's get some bits like that. Then we're going to do exactly the same again, but we're going to be a bit more heavier in his application. So I'm going to mix up a blue, and at this end it's going to be mixed with a brown as well. So I'm going to go straight to dark in this, because what I'm wanting to do, I'm not so much bothered about the bottom. I think that's not far off the complete thing. But let's so I've got a strongish blue there by making ultramarine blue and burnt umber. It makes a very dark blue, and I'm going to hold this down a bit because it nearly always moves when I with this brush you have a little bit more control in areas where you want it to be, and like that. And we'll come down to about there with it. So there's one there. Just making sure that I don't want to faff too much, because I've got some other things to do with it before it dries. Odd bit there, like that. Now before it actually 100% dries, what I want to do is get rid of some of these hard edges and make it a bit more seamless. And I'm not being super deliberate. You see how I've gone in there? We can get away with that because a lot of the painting of the heron has a fairly dark area to it. And as we get down towards here, we can afford to be a little bit more harder with the edges, because we see more definition and it is more defined in that sense. So it don't really matter about how hard the edges are as you get closer to you as a person. And we're not that far off from that being completed with regards to the backdrop. What I will do is I'll get some blue and I'm going to go put a glaze directly over that and make this area here a lot more bluer, because it is the blue challenge, the bluebird challenge. Let's see if I can wet certain areas. And we'll dab some of that off. Now off camera I'm going to dry this all off so we're ready to make a start with the other parts of the painting. So I'll be back once I've dried it with the heat gun. Let's now take a look at our beak area of our bird, and if you look at the reference, it's got lots of yellows and light oranges in it, so that's what I'm going to do, yellows and light oranges. So I've got this lemony yellow here. I'm going to take that directly once I've got a good consistent amount of paint in the brush, and I'm going to work down that to a point. I might have overdone it there. I'll finish that off. The good thing about this yellow is it's got a lot of power to be able to there we go, I'll do it, cover over. It's fairly opaque. And I'm going to do the other bit there. It's the bottom part of the beak. So that's that really strong yellow section. I'm going to bring that yellow up there, and I'm then going to add a bit of orange to it as we go up, and again at this side. And in and around this area as well, it's going to have a hint of orange. Then what we can do, once we've done that, we're going to start putting the black area in, or the dark area. Now that to me looks like a dark blue, and I'm going to mix up that brown and blue again, the burnt umber and ultramarine, and we're going to blend it into that area like that, and this will come down quite far. I'm going to leave that for time being, the top area, and that. And that will take you right to where that is, and that kind of fades off into background there. I want to leave this for time being because it'll just spread too much if I'm not careful. So I'm going to let that dry, apart from this area here which we've not done. That needs darkening. And one or two other bits that we need to deal with, like the softening of this edge. And let's just see if I can get a little bit of tonality into that. Bring that right down. And for the time being I'm going to leave that and let that dry a bit. But what you can do actually is, while we're in that yellowy kind of frame of mind, I'm going to get some of this lemon yellow and some Indian yellow, and there are flecks of yellowiness throughout the bird itself. I'm trying to do this in a kind of dry brush kind of feel. So there's that area there, and there's that area like that. Maybe a little bit there, and I might just add a feather in there of that. The only other area to do that's yellow, I'm just going to get this very carefully in, is its eye. Like that. And we'll come back to that in a bit, but continuing the theme of yellow, I'm going to get a blue again. We'll try and bias it a bit more blue than that. And now I'm going to use my dab rag, because I want this fairly dry, because we're going to do dry brush work now. So we've got this greenish blue colour, and we're going to again, it's like a dabbing kind of effect that I'm having here. And it really is quite dry brush, this. Might have to be careful about what we're doing with the layers at the moment. See if I can bring some of that in there. And I'm going to again bias it a lot bluer, because it's the blue challenge. I really want to make a big thing about it being blue, but this is in areas where it's fairly dark. It's like a curving action like that. And that blue there goes. And doing it like this gives it a kind of dynamic, active movement kind of a feel. And I'm going to put straight blue on that in certain areas. And it's all dry brush, this. Barely any water on it at all. Just enough to activate the paint itself, but not much more than that. So now I'm happy with that area like that. We'll see if I can reintroduce a little bit more yellow there, because I'm not absolutely 100% happy with that. And yeah, for the time being I'm going to let this settle, and we'll get back to the painting once it's dried off a little bit. Continuing on with the putting darks into the painting, I'm going to get a bit more dark there in there. Just feel that needs darkening a lot more. And what we will start dealing with now is these herons. They have a really dark patch at the top of the head, just above the eyes. So I'm going to bring that round like that, and then bring it out as far as I feel I need to do. And it's very dark, although it might look like it's black, this. It's not. It's an extremely dark blue. Like that. And you might get the odd bit like that. I'm going to, while I've got this very dark colour there, I'm going to put the eye in. I'll leave the rest of the eye for detailing later. I'm going to re-emphasise that area as well. And what we can do with that black, I'm going to get rid of some of the paint off that. And there's little bits of black there as well. I'm going to, this area at the bottom here is quite strongly dark as well. So now, although there are areas that are white, what I am going to do is put a really light application of colour into it. Like that. I really should wait until the painting's dry. Keep going and doing little bits here. Now, the one thing that I have neglected to do is just get some is the fish. that's in the mouth. Now, I'm not going to overemphasize that, so I'm just going to get an underpainting of yellow, well, greeny yellow anyway, and then we'll put that in like that. But we'll leave that like that for now. We've got it blocked in to some degree. And we'll just there you go. And when that's dry, we'll go and put some other colours over it. But strangely, the fish has a slightly orange eye. Right, I've got a mix of very strong blue there, and I'm going to strengthen up the beak to make that look a lot darker, but obviously I'm going to use the blue. That strengthens that up a little bit, and we can do various bits here, link that in, get some other bits of detailing in. And we are really down to the detail now. I'm going to start having various bits in like that. Around the eye of one of these birds, they have a black outline, as do many birds. But, see if we can re-emphasize that again. Sometimes you do with watercolours have to give it several layers before it starts behaving itself. And using that blue again to bring that round like that. And then we're getting some of this feather in. And none of this is like hyper deliberate and looking for every tiny little detail. We're striving to try and keep this painting as loose as we possibly can, because we like loose. So one thing we do have on this is, because it's this poor old fish is in the beak, you get a slight shadow there. I'm going to make sure that that is fairly visual and you can see it. That area there as well might be very dark, and use the blue I'm going to use another bit of a weird colour. Then, just last but not least, slightly colourful fish, but let's see if we can pull that back a bit because it's a bit strong. There we go. That's better. It would be best to leave the detail on the fish until we've completely dried this, because it could all just mush together. But I'm not going to do much detailing anyway. So, because it isn't the critical part of the painting. So I think that's possibly the fish done, but we might come back to it. It's got like little fins there. Again, I don't want to over elaborate that. There you go, fish done. So it really is just down to various little bits of detailing now. I'm going to make sure you know that there is fairly furry and fluffy. And apart from one or two emphases, if you want to call it that, emphases. Yeah, come on. A bit odd bit there. And I really feel like I'm faffing with it now, so I'll probably get to the end of the painting pretty quickly. Once I start feeling that way inclined, I know that I've done as much really that I can do. And get a little bit more, like that. I think that roughly is it. Now I'm very tempted to get a dark blue and tie this in with certain areas like that, and see if we can tie it in there as well, because with watercolour painting it is all about how you tie stuff in. Like that. See if I can dull that off a bit. It's nice. Having edges that are very deliberate and strong, and edges that you can barely see. For example there. And I think that's it. I say that and I keep going on and on and on and on. And you can do that. It's a trap. It's a trap. Right, that's it. I've got to stop. So there we go. That's my interpretation of this reference image here. Done in as blue a fashion as I can do it. This is because it's been the Bluebird challenge by Dina Tollefson. So thank you for your time. If it's your first time here, please like and subscribe, and if you're a regular to my videos, please click the thumbs up button. It helps. So thank you and goodbye for now, and happy arting.